This is We Are Podcast, the only show where we talk about what we want to talk about. We Are Podcast, let the ice house flow. We Are Podcast, it's an internet talkie show. We Are Podcast, you know the mouse knows. We Are Podcast, so look up an episode and now let's start the show.
Hello and welcome to We Are Podcast, the only podcast on the internet where we talk about what we want to talk about. This is episode 77, and my name is Matt.
And my name's Phil. Welcome to the new episode.
And we're back again with another episode of We Are Tries, Phil. We are the worst beer reviewers on the internet, and what are we trying tonight?
We are trying Dogfish Head's Namaste White Belgian style.
Alright, Phil. Got the punisher here, Phil. Let's punish this beer.
Epic punish.
Alright, as always, just give her a sniff. That smells... Ooh.
It smells very strong.
It smells like dark beer and coffee.
It does, it smells a little sweet. But other than that, like a sweet kind of dark beer and kind of coffee type flavor.
Well, that's
it does smell really sweet and light.
Well, I think that's the citrus from the orange. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Worst beer reviewers on the internet, Phil.
Because of the citrus.
But whatever, Phil. So We Are Podcast. Can again. Ooh, yeah.
To We Are Podcast. Ooh, yeah. Huh.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't claim to be a professional reviewer beer or even good at it as a hobby. But this isn't that bad.
It tastes amazing, but all of the...
I wouldn't say it tastes amazing.
Well, all
don't
the
get ahead of
flavors are blended together.
Yeah, I was saying, don't get ahead of yourself, Phil. But, I don't know. It's got a little bit of a bitter taste like beer, but you get a little sweet, citrusy flavors to it. Okay, good enough. I don't know. It's alright. If you can get your hands on it and it ain't ridiculously expensive, I guess just give it a shot. Try.
I would have liked to try this again.
I don't know. I don't really think this is nothing that great. It's not horrible. Like I said, if you can get your hands on it at a reasonable price, I give it a try.
Right. I actually would give it a try. I could taste a lot of wide varieties of flavors in it. I think it was blended together good. But I think you should try it maybe one time. Other than that, it's a one-timer basically.
Right. Well, that's what a try is. Like I said, if you can get your hands on it. Like I said, if you're new to the show, the rating system is pass, which means it sucks. Don't even bother with it. Try, which means, don't go out of your way, but if you can get it, go ahead. And buy means, that shit was good. But, like I said, this is unfortunately middle of the road try. But at the same time, Phil, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, we live in Michigan. There's got to be somewhere where we can, I throw down, $200 each probably. Take a weekend craft beer class. And, I don't know, because like I said, I don't drink... Like I said, I don't know. I started this just as a gimmick and just to get our conversations going. But, man, fuck craft beers and shit, man. That's not what alcohol is meant for. It's meant to get you drunk. People are just putting all this time and effort and shit. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm an artist. Oh, yeah?
It is.
Yeah. Well, what do? Do you paint? No. Do you make music? No. Do you, write scripts or plays or anything? No, I craft beer in my garage and drink it on the weekends by myself.
My beer's made differently.
Yeah, I put honey in my shit. Yeah, but like I said, I guarantee you could probably spend $200, go take a weekend craft beer class. I don't have a garage, but I got a basement, same thing. We'll hook up some tools. We'll make some We Are Podcast craft brews.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
ETC.
I could just see us now in the basement. Sucks. Sucks. Man, this was a waste of time. Why did we do this again? I don't know, because you got up on your high horse saying that craft beers were pretentious assholes. Then what did I do?
This is like a ginger ale beer.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm about to say, if we were to make a We Are Podcast craft ale, wouldn't it just be a shot of tequila? Because I don't like it. I only drink beer because it's cheap. Well, some of these craft beers ain't kind of cheap. That Dragon's Milk was like $3-4, I think, and then, okay. Now after we're done being the worst beer reviewers online, let's go to being the. I don't want to say we're the worst movie reviewers online either. We're the.
We usually do good.
Semi-competent movie reviewers.
Someone likes it.
Yeah. We don't like Oscar movies. We mostly just watch like B movies, horror movies, and comic book movies. That's our taste. And with that being said, today, Phil, we're reviewing Resident Evil. I don't know, the final chapter. I forgot to look it up. It's like the fifth or I think it's the sixth one. Yeah.
Resident Evil number ?
I think it's 6. I want to say we're not huge fans of. We like Resident Evil, right? We played all of the main ones. We played 1 through. Well, I never played 6. I only played 1 through 5.
I own a couple of the old ones as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I played 1 through 5. I think you played them all except for 7, right?
Correct.
Because we don't have a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. Which is probably why we haven't played 7. I don't know, man. 5 just was like, I'm done. 5 for me was just like, oh, you know what? I'm done with this shit.
5 was still fun.
It's fun when you play co-op. The AI in that game is broken. Whatever.
I agree.
But it's not like you need to know.
It's not that smart.
Yeah, I don't know why we're talking about the games, because it's not like you need to know anything about the games to watch the Resident Evil movies. Because for the most part, the Resident Evil movies is like, they don't tell the story, they just choose characters. Like, right? Like, hey, you like Leon? Here's Leon for one movie. Everyone likes that Jill sandwich joke. Here's Barry for one, or like, Barry kind of got screwed, right? I can't remember what Resident Evil movie he was in, but he's only in it for like 5 fucking minutes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Got killed.
Yeah. And he'd even say the Jill sandwich joke. Come on. But at the same time, the Resident Evil movies ain't trying to be nothing but like big, dumb, goofy action movies, you know? Where the Resident Evil video games, at least, I don't know, the first 3 were like, this is what people complain about, like, you know, the first 3 were like survival horror and shit, you know, sometimes you'd have to run away from, you know, that's the other thing too, like in modern, like in The Walking Dead, people are just walking up to zombies and stabbing them in the head like, oh!
Correct.
But in that first Resident Evil game, especially on PlayStation 1, there'd be sometimes where you're like, fuck, you just have to run away from them because you'd just be like, you were so low on ammo or so low on health, you were like, ah!
Well, I remember the purpose of the game was not to panic while you were shooting, because you actually had to aim the gun up and down, and you had to you could get through a level if you could effectively hit them with your ammo and survive to get to the next stage where you refill.
Yeah, that's why it's called survival horror, where you're supposed to maintain and use your resources as best as. Like, same in Silent Hill. Like, in Silent Hill, you're not going to fight every monster just because you can't do it. It's almost impossible.
Correct. Because I remember I even died in the first episode because I ran out of ammo and I didn't know where to go at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. But even though Resident Evil 4 is my favorite Resident Evil game, yeah, except for her. But that's where the video games start. but that's obviously where the video games are trying to be more like the movies than survival horror. But at the same time, like Resident Evil 4 still had a good balance of it because like when you had to beat the when Resident in the first in Resident Evil 4 when you first start out, it's like a survival horror game because you can't overpower every enemy because you just don't have that strong enough weapons.
Correct.
But you know, through New Game Plus and a Tommy gun, that game just became easier. That game just became easier to know.
Well, accuracy. Oh, it was fun.
Yeah, you're like I said. I was pretty good at accuracy. Like when I went through the first game, I got like 84 or something. But then I finally unlocked the Tommy gun. Accuracy 23. Fuck it, I don't care. Hey, remember the first level where that chainsaw? That's the great thing because like in the first level, when you first put in the first level of Resident Evil 4, well, the story for Resident Evil 4 is like you're Leon Kennedy, you survived the Raccoon City thing, and now you're like big, super badass secret agent guy. And now the president's daughter's been kidnapped in vaguely named, not real European country that somehow found fossils and mutated it with the T virus. Like I said, the games and the stories get crazy.
ETC.
Yeah. But, see, this is how much of a badass Leon Kennedy is, too. You're sending him into a hostile country to find the president's daughter, and all they gave him was, like, a 9mm, a box of ammo, and a can of health spray. Go find the president's daughter. But that's what I'm saying. Like, when the game first starts, in the first level, too, like, the whole, like, I don't know, I can't remember what happens exactly, but something happens and, like, the whole town tries to kill you. The whole town tries to come after you and you have to board yourself up in this house. You know, survival horror, you have to board yourself up in this house.
I remember.
And hold out until Deus Machina happens and someone rings a bell and for whatever reason they all leave. And it's terrifying the first time you play it. But when New Game Plus finally happens and you get that Tommy gun, you just walk down the middle of town with that Tommy gun. Remember when I had to run to that house? Don't got you now! Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. But plus, that's when we were also... This is what I'm saying, like, the games got crazy. Like, in 5, Chris Redfield's in a volcano... You know, rib punching a rock or a boulder in the. He's punching a boulder in the ribs.
He's beating the crap out of a boulder, basically.
Yeah, in a fucking volcano. In a volcano, like that ain't a thing. Like there's no oxygen down there.
And he's still able to breathe. I mean, that would be like breathing in sulfur.
Yeah, I remember thinking too. Is like I understand like he's trying to push the rock. And I understand, like, maybe out of frustration he starts punching it. But, like, how is, like, working the rocks, not the rock, the wrestler, but a boulder's ribs,
correct,
doing any better than actually, like, trying to push it?
Well, they were trying to push the color-coded button thing, that's why.
I know. Because God of War made button mashing sweet again. Oh, poor Rapper the Rapper. You're so above your time. Or so ahead of your time.
But yeah, I remember I was like, yeah, right. Like, he's gonna move that.
Phil, Phil, next time there's a wall in your way, just start working its ribs. Eventually it'll go down.
Pow, pow.
See, Phil, that's the problem. No one ever punches Wolverine in his adamantium ribs. Like, sooner or later, you just keep punching him there, he's gonna go down. Oh, shit, we were supposed to be talking about the movie. I don't know, the movie's good in the sense that it's a dumb action movie. We had a couple brews before we went to go see it. I don't know. The movie's like, I don't know, they're going back to Raccoon City to end the thing. They kind of put a nice little cap on everything. Kinda. But I don't know. At this point, Resident Evil, the game... Well, like I said, Resident Evil is trying to go back to their survival horror thing with 7. We've seen some gameplay things, but we haven't played it. But I don't know. These are just like... It's a dumb, goofy action movie. Rent it, get your bros together, get some beers, and... Watch Mila Jovovich in a skimpy leather outfit kill dudes. You know?
I agree.
You know? And it's written and directed by her husband, too. You think Paul S.W. Anderson and Bela Jovovich watched this, like...
I don't know.
You think this is like their homemade sex tapes? Right?
I wish they had more hunters in it. But they just had one of the main ones in it.
Me and you were both talking to...
Not the ones that fought like Leon and Chris, back in 2 and 3 or so.
Yeah. We were also talking to, like, fuck it, at this point, how awesome would it be if, like, during a fight scene, you just heard, stars! And Nemesis, for no good fucking reason, just comes up and backhands somebody.
Yeah, I remember I was like, come on, where's the D-hand already? Bring him in. We're ready for the D-hand. Yeah.
This movie's missing a lack of shoulder missiles and dick hand.
It was, but I remember I was like, come on, where is he already?
Yeah.
That's who we want to see.
That's the other thing, too. We weren't yelling in the theater, but you and me were obviously openly talking to each other. No one gave a fuck. They're like... Because that's the other thing. Like I said, this movie works good because it's a dumb action movie. Like, they're trying to put some story and some philosophy down on your ass. But then it's like, okay, 10 minutes... Hey, 10 minutes here. Start shooting something. Something needs to die.
They're trying to apply to everybody for the movie.
Well, I guess if it's the final chapter, which I kind of doubted it.
Because, there was a wide variety of the enemies they used. That's what I thought.
Well, that's always been my problem. Well. That's always been my problem with these Resident Evil movies. They're not Resident Evil movies. They're just movies that happen to have Resident Evil characters and bad guys in them.
Like, remember?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. Remember? I remember. Yeah, like I said, they're not really Resident Evil movies. They're just movies that happen to have Resident Evil characters and bad guys in them. And like I said, this might be the final chapter Paul S.W. Anderson directs and writes. But I don't know, man. Tell me. I don't know. We haven't played 7, but we watched some Let's Plays of it. It looks like they're in... What if the next Resident Evil movie was them, like... Remember Hardcore Henry, where it's all like first-person view? Do it like that, where it's all first-person view, where this guy's going into like swamp cult land to save his wife or whatever.
Well, they did do Survivor once. And
you get Bray Wyatt to be the leader of the cult family in the new Resident Evil movie. Right? Yeah, see? Call me up, Sony. Have this, like I said, lock me in a room with some weed and some Twinkies. I'll get this movie done in 6 hours.
Well, like I know they did do Resident Evil Survivor, and that was like a first-person shooter, but it was kind of like virtual cop style. Only you shot zombies, but
yeah, but I'm talking about like I said, the new one,
like a survival action horror game of it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the first one or the new one, 7. You know how like they're going to like weird swamp cult land or whatever to save your wife.
Correct. It did look real.
Yeah, and you know how it's like it's done in first person view too. But do the next Resident Evil movie like that, where it's just a guy in first person view going to like redneck swampland to save. This isn't exactly original story either. You know, it's pretty much Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Correct.
Yeah,
well,
you know,
it looked very real. I mean, it looked like he was holding a real gun.
Yeah, but I'm saying do the next movie like that. Do a live action movie, but in first person view, like Hardcore Henry, for the next Resident Evil movie, you know? And just pretty much take the story from 7.
I'd watch that.
Yeah. You know? Have they ever... Oh, I guess there's found footage horror movies, but found footage horror movies kind of suck because you're always wondering, like, why are they carrying the camera? But if you do it first-person view mode, where, like, no gimmick, he doesn't have a camera, you're literally, like Hardcore Henry, you know, you're supposed to be looking through his eyes, trying to find his wife the whole time.
Shit, he's shooting at it.
Yeah. You know, why mold monster, you know, like, you walk into a room, it's full of mold, and all of a sudden, like, mold venom monsters come out the walls, and crazy hillbillies, you shoot them, and you blow half their face off, and they're still coming at you. Come on, Phil. Phil, people lose their shit in Paranormal Activity when a chair falls down. You know? You mean to tell me if...
You can do that with some string.
Yeah.
Some fishing line and thread.
Yeah, like I said, now you're doing like a first-person horror movie where like a redneck grabs you by the throat, picks you up, but you have a gun in his hand, and you shoot him in the face, and he kind of just shrugs it off. And it's like, "Ooh boy, you done messed up now, son," and then like choke slams your ass to the ground. You know, and you see it all in first person view, and like when you get slammed to the ground, the camera goes fuzzy for like a minute or two, or like a second or two. And then like you see like the hillbilly goes into like some crazy hillbilly rant while he's pummeling you in the face. And like the camera focuses and then you get hit in the face, it goes out of focus. The camera focuses again, you get hit in the face, it goes out of focus again, you know?
Color-coded buttons.
Yeah. Well, that would, yeah, in the game, that's what they would do. Like, hit X, hit Y.
Dodge it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, but you can't do that in a movie, obviously. I also imagine that would work great for, like, 3D or something, right? Because you could have, like, a scene or something where, like I said, one of the hillbillies is trying to, like, grab you and you just get away. And they're yelling something crazy at you, and you turn around to take one last look at him, and he throws a rock at you, and you happen to see the rock come right at your, in 3D, see the rock come right at your face, and it hits you. Well, it hits the movie character and knocks you out for a second. You know, because in the movie, all you would see like this 3D rock coming at you, and it hits you, and then the screen goes black for like a second. I imagine that probably be kind of scary.
Would definitely be a different style.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, the Resident Evil movies, they'd never try to be survival horror like the video games originally were. So why not make the next Resident Evil movie a survival horror movie, all in first person? Like I said, other than like found footage movies, which I wouldn't consider like first person. That's not first person. That's found footage. You know, someone had a camera. But like Hardcore Henry, you're seeing everything through a character's eyes, you know? You're seeing what they see, not what the camera dictates what you see, you know? Now that I think about it, that'd be awesome if they just did a Borderlands game. Because Borderlands is just pretty much Mad Max on crack, right?
It is. I didn't play the other new one that was out, but basically...
The Telltale's one. That's a storytelling game, though, Phil. You know, like choose your own adventure, though.
Correct. Well, there are a lot like that. Like Rage was like that too. Was like Mad Max.
Well, so is Fallout 3 too.
Correct.
Well, so is Fallout in general.
That one's older though.
Yeah, I was say so is Fallout in general. Well, it's kind of crazy, like how much Mad Max has been ripped off in video games and culture in general. Like.
You could shoot moon bullets at people.
Yeah. Well, even the... Yeah, well, Phil, even the Legion of Doom, they're pretty much just like Lord Humongous. you know? And I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of other wrestlers that wear, like, spiked shoulder pads and shit.
Right, and plus there's the Metro games as well. Metro Last Light and those other Metro games that take place, like, under the same premises.
Phil, how come Mad Max nailed down what all the future psychopaths are going to look like during the apocalypse of what variant descent?
Apparently it was laying around at the time.
Like, apparently the only things that survive the apocalypse are the leather jackets, hockey mask, gas mask, and leather chaps.
And biohazard masks.
How the fuck did that happen? Apparently I should have made my Fallout shadow out of hockey mask. I would have been fine. Jason Voorhees is still walking around the apocalypse.
Oh, yeah, that's Harry Chaps right there. Like, nobody bothers him. He just walks through with no problem.
I'm about to say, Fallout 4 just... like I said, we haven't played it because we don't have a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One or whatever. But I think one of the DLCs for Fallout 4 was like a Swamp Hillbilly Land. I'm surprised they didn't do like a Jason Voorhees ripoff where you have to take out like some super mutant with a hockey mask and like a big ass blade or something, you know?
I agree.
That would have been sweet. And you know, like he has
Good for the theme.
No, like the super mutant's so big he has to wear like 2 hockey masks, one over each eye because he's so big. You know, and you call him instead of Jason Voorhees, you call him like Jimmy Vendor. That way it's parody and it's copyright free. And he never says nothing other than rah. And you have to kill him in Camp Muddy Lake.
Right, and he says, "I'm gonna drag you to my secret lake." While he's chasing you.
He's chasing you down and somehow teleports in front of a tree that's somehow 30 feet ahead of you. Come on, Fallout.
Like you remember, he has a lake.
Yeah, come on, Fallout. Up your game.
Lake of Victims.
Why do they always keep throwing his ass back in the lake, too? That never works.
Correct. Huh.
Well, I think they're rebooting again. I think like Jason and Freddy are getting a reboot either this year or next year, coming out anyways. Like,
as if
they are. You know why, Phil? Because you know why? Because people are still because people are still buying Jason and Freddy T-shirts and action figures.
Oh, they're legends,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, so why not scrape a couple extra dollars off the bottom of the barrel?
Like I said, they left it as who cares who won the battle, but Freddy's still alive and so is Jason.
Well, Freddy versus Jason, yeah. Plus, I like
A cliffhanger, like what's going to happen next.
Well, because the sequel is supposed to be Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, and I love what Bruce Campbell said about this. He's like, yeah, we talked to whatever studios own the rights to those characters, and he said, well, can Ash kill Freddy or Jason? And they were like, no. And then he was like, oh, okay. Then they just left.
At least they tried.
Yeah. Well, I think what the biggest problem was is like the reason why Freddy versus Jason didn't have, because they were talking about doing that since Freddy Goes to Hell. Remember? Because
I agree.
Yeah, because at the end of Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy Krueger's hand comes out of the ground and supposedly drags Jason's mask to hell. Get it? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Subtlety. But it took like what, another 20, almost 20 years for that movie to come out, didn't it?
About that.
Yeah. That's just because whoever owned the rights were like, well, no, Freddy can't win because that makes our brand look weak and we're going to lose money. And we're not going to let you win because, I mean, you know. Because that's why it never happened. And that's what I think Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi even said that, like, that Freddy and Jason were just in, like, such a pissing contest about who's worth more.
Classic.
You know? You know, kind of like Hulk Hogan in the Ultimate Warrior. Well, I'm worth more than you. No, hey, I'm worth more than you.
Manly.
Yeah. Yeah. Neither one of the factions were willing to take like a pay cut or compromise in any way. So it just took forever to happen. And, well, like I said, they made a comic out of it, and it's alright. Plus, Bruce Campbell, he don't need that shit anyway, so he's got his own TV show now.
I agree.
But at the same time, do you think
he does a well enough job?
Well, Bruce Campbell's great in everything he ever does. Because Bruce Campbell's awesome.
He's a good actor.
If chins could kill, Phil.
He can pull it off.
Yeah.
This is We Are Podcast, the only show where we talk about what we want to talk about. We Are Podcast. Let the ice house flow. We Are Podcast. It's an internet talkie show. We Are Podcast. You know the mouse knows. We Are Podcast. So look up an episode and that's the show.